Hi there, welcome. I'm Bruce, this is Speed and Color. I'm really happy that you joined me for this episode. This is a turning point for Speed and Color. We're trying a bit of a new format here. We're gonna focus a lot more on bikes, on builders, good feature content with lots of information and lots of ideas for you. I'd love to get your feedback. By all means, tell me what you think of this, what works for you, what doesn't, anything like that. And as well, if you've got any questions about the build, fire them off to me. I'll get you an answer or the best answer I can for sure. Hey, watch this video right to the end. I'm not trying to trick you into that. You don't have to watch through the whole thing and skim ahead if you really want to, but you really want to see the last couple minutes of this video. So glad you joined me. Welcome. Let's get at it. Well, here we are with Brent Robertson at Precision Frameworx, PFX. And today we're going to take a look at this beautiful Cholo styled bike. And to get started, Brent, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Yeah, haven't seen you. I'm good.
How's things? How's the podcast?
The podcast is coming right along, and we have found out that this is what people want to see.
This bike?
Yes, this bike, but a lot of other bikes as well.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, Brent, go ahead, tell us, what did this start out life as? Engine, gear, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay, Bruce, sounds good. So, you know what, lately the Cholo, I'm going to use the word Cholo style because I think that's relatively new for me. Maybe that name has been coming along for a long time. There's other names I can pronounce, but for me it's always been a lowrider sort of style. But only recently, I want to say within the last 10 years, that people have been calling them Cholo style. And so yes, so this Cholo bike, lowrider bike, this Softail, this started life as a 2009 Softail Deluxe. Now, Bruce, Precision Frameworx is a fairly big, busy shop, but in the wintertime in Canada here, it sucks, snow happens, and so lots of times we'll buy wrecked bikes at the auction, or we'll buy them from the customers or something like that. Right. This was a wrecked bike. We bought it at the auction. It was someone's misfortune at one time, and we made it into what it is today. The guys here at the shop, we go through it front to back. We usually disassemble them down to the frame, redo the frame, and then just go to town. We built a bike similar to this last year, I think it was, maybe 2 years ago now, and it was a blue one. It was a 2007, and it was very popular. We had it in the showroom for a while, and people would come in and they'd be like, "How much is that? Is that for sale? Whose is that?" And it's like, "No, can't tell you. It's not for sale. No, it's all this." And so I seen how many people were interested in it, and money talks, bullshit walks.
Yes.
So
yeah.
No one put any money down because it wasn't for sale. So when this one came up, I was like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. And so the bike was in Vancouver. I had a plan, I had a vision, and so I was like, okay, it's a 2009. I looked at the pictures online, didn't look that bad. Okay, we're gonna need a front end, we're gonna need a gas tank, we're gonna need bodywork, we're gonna need wheels, we're gonna need a lay frame, we're gonna need air, all this. Okay, no problem, all I care about is the motor and the frame. And so I ordered all the parts before I even picked up the bike, and pre-ordered them all, and those are the things that we'll talk about right now. So right now, on our front end, we have an HHI 4-degree rape tree for a 23-inch front wheel, HHI bomber style legs, smooth, single disc 6-piston HHI brake. So that takes care of the front end. Internally, we have Dirty Bird air ride suspension in the front, as well as Dirty Bird air ride in the rear with their lay frame swing arm. And it's not really a lay frame because it's Softail, but so the air components, front and rear Dirty Bird. The front end components.
Let me stop you there for a second.
Please.
Because you mentioned rake on the front end.
Yes.
So let's detail that for people, explain that, and especially considering that people may not see the video here,
Yeah, you're right.
What are we really talking
No,
about?
you're right. So many things, Bruce, I just take for granted, so I apologize for that.
And that's what I'm here for, is to slow you down, Brent,
Yeah.
and keep you on track.
Yeah, no problem. So if you just think about it, and if you can visualize a stock Softail bike, might have a 16-inch front wheel because it's an FL style Softail, might have a 21 because it's a wide glider, a custom. When Harley built the frame, the neck angle of the frame can only be a certain degree, and then when they put the tree in, when you calculate that axle and wheel height and rake of the frame, that gives you what's called a trail, and there's a trail calculator. And we can maybe talk about that some other time. It's not something I can just describe right now without a whiteboard. So when Harley designs the frames, they make them for the masses. 16-inch front wheel, 21-inch front wheel, so be it. Well, if we want to go 23, 26, 30, 32, that tire's going to hit the frame. So we need to rake it out. And how did the term rake come from? Sorry, not prepared for that. Not too sure, I don't know. Yeah. But you have two ways of either doing it. You can either cut the neck of the frame and stretch the frame out, or you put the offset into the triple trees. Keep the frame the way it is. So manufacturers have put the offset into the triple tree. That way they can sell more products to the person in the garage, because they might not have the capabilities of the welding, but at the same time we want the liabilities of the welding going down the road. So let's just make the offset into the trees. So then we go back to the HHI 4-degree trees. So Marco at HHI has developed these trees to kick out 4 degrees, which now allows us to put the 23-inch front wheel on here with no clearance issues, no hitting the frame, no rubbing, and no handling like a bent shopping cart going down the road. It still handles nice and smooth.
Right. I believe the manufacturers are pretty good about helping people out with knowing what they have to do with certain components and how much they're going to need. I will say too that I've done some research on rake, trail, all that kind of stuff, axle position. There's tons of it online. Yeah. If you need to understand it, there's diagrams and measurements and everything else. It's pretty easy to get it.
It's overwhelming a little bit.
There's a lot to it, and I found for me it sure helped when I had a diagram in front of me and I could see, okay, that's how that gets affected if I change this or change that. And it is important because you want the bike to handle decently.
Yeah. I've always said, it'll either handle great going straight down the road, or it's going to be heavy in the parking lot. I always use a reference, it's like a bent shopping cart. Everyone's had a bent shopping cart, and you don't want your bike to handle like that.
No.
So,
no.
When you talk about have the manufacturers done their research, well, what's nice versus that, let's say if you're going to just specialize in Harley-Davidson, okay, well let's just take the Harley-Davidson as for a manufacturer, okay, let's take the Dyna. Okay, well the Dyna might have a 32-degree rake. Well, we only have to make trees off a 32-degree rake. Okay, let's take the Softail. Okay, that's a 34-degree rake. We only have to make trees off a 34. So when you say that manufacturers are to help you out, they've done their research, right? They've bought the bike, they've designed it, they've grabbed a tree off the shelf that they worked in the past. Hey, does this one work for this model? Yeah, perfect. Okay, it fits from 07 to 17. It fits from this to this. So when you do a special project, let's say you're going to do your XX650, we have a 22, I think it is, street bob in the back here. The guy wants a 12 over Springer on it. How the hell are we going to do that without having the Springer here first? Because we're definitely going to have to modify the frame.
Right.
So nobody's helping us out on that one except for us. No one's helping us. So when you go back to the manufacturers, yes, manufacturers are always good because they want to sell the product, but they've done a lot of research on the back end that puts them to where they are today, so they are ready to sell that product over the
Well,
shelf.
and again, it's funny that you mentioned the Springer, because in my case with the Sportster, when I was thinking about a Springer front end, and I talked to Paco, man, those guys were great. It was, okay, here's what you need to do. You need to go out, put your bike up straight, measure this, do this measurement, draw a picture, whatever. And I got back to them, and they knew exactly what I needed at that point. They said, okay, boom, this is what you need.
That's
so
perfect.
they were very, very good that way.
Maybe we'll trick them on Monday on the phone about this 22.
There you go. There you go. Okay, good. So that's got most of the front end in
Yep.
terms of suspension.
Yeah.
And
So it's also too, Bruce, when we bought the HHI 23-inch, it's called a 23-inch builder's kit from HHI. So that came with the trees, the lower legs, and the fender. And we went with the classic style, you know, you can call it a mullet cut or whatever, but we went with that full fender look to also achieve it to the rear fender. So just have that low rider close to the ground, especially when we air it down, you know, well, not really air it down because it's always going to be at that height, but just to have that look, that style, you know, from sitting still to going fast.
I like the Lowrider name.
Well, you know, I wish I had a picture, Bruce, of my first bike, like, you know, when I was in high school, you know, when I was 17 years old, because I took a rear fender like this, and cut it and narrowed it in for my bike, and then, like I said, you know, painted the blue, and I had my rear fenders. And we're talking, you know, I'm 52 now, so I don't know fucking how long ago that was, like a long time ago. And to me, you know, where I'm from, it was just a lowrider, right?
Right.
We didn't even have a taco place in where I'm from, you know, so taco wasn't popular. So with that front end, we also went with the classic spot lamp bars. Not really necessary, but for some reason it just adds to that look on the front end. We still have some visors coming for the spot lamps, the headlights. We've got them on the signal lights right now, but I think that just completes the look.
Yes.
Or, you know, that visual look that you have in your head of what this bike should look like.
Yeah.
And so those are still coming to finish off this bike. Then we went with Carlini Gangster Apes. Have to go with the Gangster Apes. It's a classic style. I think they're patent designed by Carlini, but it's that swoop forward. And so then you have this going on, and it's not this going on, and it's just a great look. Like, you know, those are Carlinis. You know those are Gangster Apes as soon as you see them. 1 inch in the clamping area, step up to 1.25 inches, then they go into the radius, 1.5 inch El Presidente risers. Nice little touch here again as well. If they were to make gas caps that match that would be pretty awesome, but they don't. But it would be good.
Right.
And then just chrome controls, Magnum shielding cables and lines to finish that chrome look on the front.
Mm-hmm.
And then since cameras are on this side of the bike, then we also have the floorboards. Floorboards are Cycle Smith waffle boards. They're 19-inch long, and so a little bit longer than a normal floorboard, like say on your bagger or something like that. But it just has that swoop look. You know, it's almost like a surfboard.
Yes.
You know, it's just a lot of foot position.
And everything on this bike has that flow. That front fender is beautiful, goes with the floorboards, the seat, the rear fender. This bike flows beautifully.
Yeah, we're very happy with it too. So yeah, for sure.
Back up a little bit
Yes.
for me for a second and tell me about that front wheel.
Front wheel?
That thing's crazy.
Well, so, you know, a lot of people use the company DNA. A lot of people don't like DNA, and it's mixed reviews on them. Unfortunately, for the mammoth spoke, you know, the multi-spoke, the big spoke diameter, they are the people in the game. They are the ones that have them. There's a couple other manufacturers, Ride Right, and a couple other ones that have them, but DNA is kind of the go-to. Are they made in California? Are they made overseas? Not too sure. Can't really get that straight answer. But this was a new design. Go for it.
Same DNA that makes the Springer front end?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a new design they came out with. It's called the Cali spoke. And so the last bike that we did, the blue one, that was a straight spoke. And you'll see a lot of straight spoke. And so straight spoke is just a 3/8 rod threaded on both sides, and, you know, screwing into the hub, screwing into the nipples, and then into the rim. The Cali spokes, you know, got that twisted, so probably started off as square, twisted in the lathe, or whatever. Definitely not hand twisted, that would take too much. But it just has that sparkle, twinkle, you know, that just offset enough glitter to give it like, oh shit, like eye-catching. You know, you look at it and it's like, oh wow, look at those, that's different. Right. And yeah, we're very happy with them.
That twisted look is really, really good.
I think so too, yeah.
It does a lot with the light and
Yeah.
reflections and highlights. Yeah,
And this
beautiful.
bike being a darker color as well, like, you know, it is House of Colors root beer. We'll talk about that in a bit, but if we were to go black on this bike, you know, like not the chrome but the black, I think it would just make that paint too dark. And so I think with the chrome rims, chrome spokes, chrome nipples, chrome hub, chrome brake, chrome front end, and then that paint, I think it just ties together nicely.
Yes,
That's my
absolutely.
personal opinion.
And you know I'm a chrome guy.
Are ya?
I love chrome.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I like black just because you can powder coat it and it's cheaper. And there's so many rules and regulations with the chroming facilities around the world, like
Yes.
mostly in North America, like whether it be EPA or environmental, and it's bullshit and it sucks because you don't get a proper chrome. Like you just get a shitty chrome, and when it's a shitty chrome, I'd rather not even have chrome. That's the problem. So that's
And-
what I
and
like
see-
powder coat. Yeah.
Yeah, and we won't get into it too much, but I feel the same way about powder coat. Having owned a powder coating shop at one time, there's really good powder coating,
Yeah.
and there's really bad powder coating.
Yeah.
And if you get bad, it'll turn you right off.
Yeah.
And you mentioned House of Color. I think you know too. I'm a paint guy. I'll go through the effort of painting a frame, and I'm not saying that guys do it because it's easy. But yes, I could send a frame off for powder coating. I would much rather paint it.
Would you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we do a custom build, Bruce, we sandblast the frame after we sandblast the frame. We do our welding, our fabbing. We re-sandblast it, and then we powder coat it, and then we paint on top of powder coat. We put powder
Okay.
coat down as a bond, and as because then if the paint chips, then the powder's still underneath there, so it doesn't go to raw metal. So yeah, we're both on our custom bikes, on our high-end
Yeah.
bikes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's again done right. Powder coating can be a fantastic primer.
Yeah.
A fantastic base. I mean, if it's done right, that stuff is tough as nails.
Yeah.
But if it's not done right, man, I've seen it chip and flake.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And of course, if it's not washed properly. Anyway, we could get into all of
For
that
sure.
another time.
Another
Yeah, you
episode.
bet. Okay. All right, carry on. Moving back.
So the rest
and
of this-
moving back on the. Is that the B side?
Well, it's the P side for
No,
me.
it's
Well,
the A
no,
side.
the
It's
E
the A
side, exhaust. Well, now it's dual exhaust and primary. It's hard to say. Right side of the bike.
Okay.
Nose cone side. Yeah.
So yeah, moving back on the other side of the bike there with what do we got?
Not a lot of other key features on there. The motor, you know, is a 103. That was what came out with Harley with this model of bike. And lots of times too, Bruce, when we buy bikes at the auction, we don't really know the whole history of it because we don't get to talk to the last owner or anything like that. And so we run the VIN number. VIN number tells us, you know, what the production date was and the model and the size and that. So this was a 103. Didn't do really anything to it. We do a compression test. You know, we check the valves, we scope out the cylinders. That's about it. We did add the Performance Machine air cleaner on it because the Performance Machine air cleaner just adds a little bit of cone to the front. Once again, this cone shape is just to replicate a little bit more of like the risers. There's not a lot of cone shaping on the bike, but honest to goodness, there's a lot of air filters made for performance and flow. We needed style and performance, and you get pretty generic after a while. So we went with something sleek, nice, you know, doesn't hit the inside of your leg, still got lots of clearance, and I want to use the word shiny, and it's shiny.
Yeah.
Oil bucket is stock, tranny is stock. Over on this side though, we also have the Dirty Bird center stand. So when we air it down, it's a lever there, and I can show you in a video if you want. It's just a manual, you push it down, and it's a center stand rather than a side stand. Side stand is still good as well, but when you drop all the air down, on the side stand, it's going to be too heavy. So the center stand is going to hold it upright because you've lowered it down, you know, front and back.
Right.
And not a lot of companies make electric ones. You know, you'll see on baggers there's electric center stands. For Softails, not a lot of options. So this kind of gives it that handmade, you know, that handmade look, that hand-built look. and feel of having it manually, you know, like center stand, like you're manually doing it.
Yeah.
So
I want to go back to a term you used when you were talking about the rear suspension. You said lay down or something, and then you said because it's a Softail. I didn't get that. What are we talking about there?
Yeah, no problem, Bruce. So Softails. Let's just assume that everyone in the world knows what a Softail looks like. And the rear section of the Softail is a triangular shaped frame. So underneath your seat area, behind the primary, you have a pivot area, a pivot bolt. And if you could just, you know, and I know you got some viewers that just listen to this, so we're going to have to just try to describe that it's a triangular shape. I really just watch the video. And so so the swing arm is a triangular, shocks mount to the bottom. Well, John Schwab has designed the get down and dirty swing arm where the shocks are on the outside. So typically on a Softail, the shocks are hidden underneath because it would give you that illusion and effect that it was a rigid bike at one time and oh man, you're badass. Exactly. But no, it's a Softail and it's soft. Yeah. Not really soft at all. But you know, that's where it came from. And you should do an episode on where the Softail came from at one time because there's history behind that one too.
Okay.
So now, if you go back, Dynas, baggers all have external shocks. And so this is an external shock where, like I say, the Softail was hidden underneath the transmission that you didn't see it before. It was a hidden shock. We changed the swing arm and we added the air shocks to the outside. By doing that, we can bring the tire up more into the fender, where if we had the triangular shape would be hitting in the strut area. Right. We wouldn't have the clearance. So by having an H style or A style swing arm, that allows us to bring the tire into the fender, where if it was a Softail triangular swing arm, it would be already hitting and restrict us. So I hope that's as clear as mud for you.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because the you know, the Softail swing arm from the factory is a pretty big, bulky kind of setup.
Yeah, but it is to give you that look, though, right? If you just think when it came out in 1994, 84, 85, we came from an era of rigids and then the shocks on the back like FLH, FXE, FXR. And so when the Softail came out, which was designed by someone aftermarket, then Harley took it, it gave that illusion of a rigid. Rigids were around in the 40s, you know, the 50s and stuff. So I think they were just trying to evolve, okay, let's make it for user-friendly 1985 riders with this hidden shock, and holy, we conquered the world. And so that design's been around for a long time, even to today. Right? So yes.
Also, would that give you a more slender, a narrower appearance with the Softail setup? Obviously, putting the shocks on widens out this back end, makes it look broader. Not having the shocks would tighten it up.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So
depending on the look you're going for, obviously on this Lowrider Cholo, wide is not a bad thing. That's kind of part of the look. But on you know, on something more chopperish, keeping it narrow would be a good thing. Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, like we build frames here, and if we did a Softail in a triangular shape, we'd be coming from the axle, going up, and then cutting in hard to still meet the width of the frame. Where if we do an A style, you can come from the pivot and then just go out as wide as you need to as well too, right? So if you did want to do a fat tire, it would be way easier on an A style type frame, not a swing pin.
Cool.
So then the exhaust, we got just I believe that's Bancini. I think it's Bancini. Not crazy fishtails. 38 inches long, dual fishtails. Once again, just to go both sides of the bike, give it that swoopy look, that long, not swoopy, long, flowy look. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Rear fender. Rear fender.
I was just going to say that's quite the bracket for the exhaust pipe too.
Well, when this thing's fired up, right, it's a lot of weight back there that's not supported. So,
oh, for sure. Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, I hadn't looked at it before because it's nicely hidden usually, but leaning in there, I saw the length of it and thought, yeah, that makes sense. You'd need something pretty stout there.
you do, yeah, you definitely do. And then, yeah, the stock, the stock struts, we drilled those out for the external shocks. We put the little hidden Kellerman lights on the rear, and then we welded the rear of the struts and had them chromed. And you know, when we talk about the chrome here, if you look at the front end, I don't know if your camera and the lighting here will see that, but the chrome to me is a high luster, and then when you get to those struts, you got a slight tinge of darkness to them,
Right.
which is from the local chromer, whether because they have to meet with the city laws and stuff
a little
like
more
that.
nickel or something.
Whatever, yeah,
just
for
gives
sure.
it that darker.
Yeah.
And those lights you're talking about, that's these little guys right
Those-
here. I thought I'd point those out because on YouTube, those probably aren't real noticeable.
I know they really
There we
are,
go.
but
Yeah,
they are
beautiful.
They are nice. They're brake light, running light, turn signal,
Yeah,
nice
beautiful.
and smooth.
And that reminds me, controls, is that all Harley standard stuff?
It's aftermarket chrome, right? Aftermarket chrome, but it's OEM replica. How's that?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Yeah. No, it looks good. It's nice.
The rear fender. So the rear fender was a Clockworks +6, but once we put the air ride on, and you know these are all things that have to get done before paint, and so we're building the bike, we're assembling the bike, and we've done so many bikes, like honestly, that we don't really mock up 100%, but when we do things that require mock up, it's time involved. So we mock up the bike, we got to make sure we can turn it on, we fully aired it, we fully wired it, we plumbed the lines, and we install the fender. We put the exhaust on, okay, we move the bike off the bench, and it's in raw primer, probably no front fender on it, maybe there was, probably was, and we air it up and we air it down. I hated the look of it, Bruce. We had to add another 5 inches to that fender.
Oh, is that?
It is to get the look that I wanted.
Nice.
So, Clockworks, they did a great fender and stuff like that for the home builder, but for us, we just needed to add more to it to get that stance that we wanted.
Right.
Yeah. And when this bike's aired up, you got plenty of ground clearance. It's right now in the park position is where I want that effect, that look.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Great. Should we flip this around and go over this side quickly?
Sure, if you like, not a problem. Give me a second, I'll air it up and
You
move it
bet.
around.
Thank you. All right, we're back, and as we moved this, or we didn't move anything, Brent moved it. As Brent moved the bike, I noticed the air suspension and everything, and Brent said, do you want me to show that on the video? So we're going to do that. I'm going to let Brent show you how this works.
So, because there's no air tank on this bike, it runs strictly off the compressor. That's not an issue. It's a high volume compressor, hidden once again behind the transmission underneath the starter, and there's no problem. But you do need key power. So the key's going to turn on for a bit. You're going to hear the compressor run, which is normal, okay? We put 2 switches into the coil cover here. Obviously the front one is for the front air and the rear is for the rear. Up. Center stand comes up now. And as you can see, there's lots of ground clearance and we still got some suspension going on. So, and then to down it, it's going to be just the opposite way. But when you put it all the way down, don't forget to put down your center stand. So one more time, up and then center stand. That's it.
Perfect, thank you.
No problemo.
Patrick, did we get that camera going?
Yep.
Awesome, thank you. Good.
All right.
So one thing I noticed too, when you turned this around and pulled it in, that I don't think we touched on, awesome headlights.
Oh yeah,
Are the factory stuff, what is that?
LEDs, right?
Yeah.
The world of nowadays with light illuminating diodes,
Yeah.
LEDs, so bright, so less power, and affordable. So you'd be foolish not to put LEDs in right now. Like just
Now,
to draw.
are these aftermarket or?
Yes, they're aftermarket.
Okay.
Yeah, and when you ask the question what if it's aftermarket or not, if you bought everything Harley-Davidson, man, like it's HD. It's $100 every time. So it's pretty expensive.
Right.
If we did Harley-Davidson all the way, you're not going to get a lot of this stuff because they don't want to go outside of their mass-produced norm. So you have to go custom world, specialized world. You have to go to the guys that are unique and they want to stand out. Sure, there's stuff like the hand controls. Yeah, we buy chrome hand controls at Harley, but if I'm buying one item, like why? So we stick with manufacturers that we've got good rapport with. We know the quality's good. Lots of times I've been to the factories where they make them, and I know that the quality's good, and I can open up a book and go, no, I don't buy that stuff. I don't buy that shit. I buy it from someone else because I know the quality is good. So, yeah. Same
LEDs, anybody that you'd recommend, or do you kind of use?
Yeah, just give us a call and we'll set you up.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we got on the other side of the bike that we should
The boring side.
tell people about?
Those switches we just talked about.
Yeah, the switches, and the coil cover, and
Yeah, no,
all
you know
that
what?
stuff. It's
There's always a good side of the bike and there's always a bad side. This
Yeah.
this side here is usually has the exhaust pipe, the nose cone, the air cleaner. This side's got the horn, the primary, and that's kind of it, the boring side of the bike. But once again, with the floorboard,
primary, is that just factory stuff?
just
Nothing
factory
special
stuff.
there?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you betcha. And you can see how the pipe goes for the true dual. It comes behind the rear cylinder head, drops over top of the primary, and then drops down below the passenger peg and hangs out at the back there.
Nicely done. Speaking of passenger pegs, anything to tell us there? Whose are those?
You know what? So the floorboards are Cyclesmith waffle boards. Cyclesmith also has a mini floorboard. Now, on the previous bike that we built, the blue one, and I'll just call it the blue one, we had a problem with the exhaust and the small mini board hitting. So we just manufactured these to slightly match them.
Oh, okay.
That's it. So we just did these in-house and chromed them, and just something to match them. And then at the end of the tip here, we tried to match the riser here again, once again. So
Yeah,
just small touches.
Nice detail.
Yeah. The seat. The seat was a Drag Specialties black seat, but black was going to make this bike look too dark.
Right.
We got companies, Salomon, LaPera, everyone like that was more than willing to make us a seat. Those guys are good at that. I also want to tell you that the start to finish on this bike. So yes, I did buy it, in October. I pre-bought all the parts. Parts are the big thing. Manufacturers are all busy. They don't have shelves ready to disperse right away. It's, they don't want to type that inventory and stuff like that. So from the time that we got all the parts painted and everything was less than 30 days from start to finish. So when we have the parts, we don't really, we might start the parts, start the process of disassembling and getting rid of the shit we don't need and clean up the engine and diving into the motor and starting it up and stuff like that. But when we got the paint done, we needed a seat. Okay, the paint's root beer, House of Colors, looks great. I can't say this, it's not the color I wanted, but I do love it now. And so it was like, okay, go talk to our local seat people. And so I took them a Drag Specialties black seat and I said, hey, give me a waffle design on the seat, small little pinion for the passenger, and give me some black stitching, and let me show me what you got for brown. So I took back all the swatches of brown then we contacted our pinstriper,
Right.
and I said, okay, what of these browns can you match? And he's like, oh yeah, this one. So then went back to the upholstery shop, picked this brown. That was fine. Pinstriper came in, pinstriped the bike, just added this little touch to it. Jeff Shibby, great guy, came in here, spent a half a day, hand pinstriped that kidney on the tank, all the free flowing on the rear fender and the front fender. And then a week or maybe 4 days later, we got the seat back, and boom, just nailed the pinstriping 100%. So
yeah, the color is excellent.
So from front to back, the bike just flows, and it ties together, and I like it. I like it. The
pinstriping's beautiful. I've heard Jeff's name a lot.
Have you?
Oh yeah, he's doing some beautiful work. It's nice to have a local guy who can do that.
And he's young.
Kind of quality.
He's young too. In the past, we've had some like old timers here that have been doing it, since Ed Roth days. Like from that time. Jeff's young, so he's young with an old soul, and he's super talented.
Oh, and it's a beautiful art. It's nice to see that there are young guys keeping it alive.
Yeah.
The paint, House of Color, I'm a big fan of House of Color. It's all I use, not that I paint at this level. Do you want to share who did this paint job, or just say it's painted?
It's painted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good enough.
And Bruce, the only reason that we do that is because we have, currently right now, Precision Frameworx has got 5 painters we're using. And, our business is, unfortunately making money so we can keep everyone employed. And so we make 10 to 20% off the job. If I give out everyone's contact,
right.
I'm throwing those away. So
right.
It's no offense or nothing like that.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But after 25 years of business, this is how I've got to where I am. And it's not by saying, oh yeah, fucking Johnny down the street.
Yeah.
Here's his number.
Yeah, and you know what? That's good for our listeners and viewers to know and understand, Brent. It's part of the industry. It's part of what we're in. Right?
It is.
But it is beautifully done. It's very, very nice.
Yeah.
It looks great. And House of Color product, I can't say enough. Their stuff just works. It's easy to work with.
It's
great.
pricey. You get a great effect when you're done. It's still chemical paint, right?
Yeah.
Right? So it's not water based, and so I think you get that richness from it.
Yes.
That's what I think.
Yes. So. Good. I was going to ask you about the engine because you said it's a 103, and that's what I happen to have at home. You didn't do much to this one or anything to this one. What's the potential with these? With the 103, is there much we can do to get some extra power out of these?
Oh yeah, for sure, Bruce. Right? Like if you just think of say a 103 in like a dyno or a bagger. And so let's say a dyno or a bagger, you want performance, or you're touring and you're riding 2-up and you're fully loaded with luggage and stuff like that, and you need more torque or you need more power. We can call it passing power, we can call it speed, whatever you want. Even in this bike here too, a Softail is generally not one that you need more power for, but let's say you do, no problem. Okay, so yeah, you take a 103, you can easily add some cams to it, whether they be fueling Star or some S&S Easy Start cams. You could do 103, you can go to a 110, an S&S or a Revolution big bore kit. You could then go into porting and polishing the heads. Porting and polishing heads is now more of a serious thing because for us, that's about a $1,500 charge to you, and the gains between 3 and 5 horsepower. So is it really worth the horsepower to $1, or do you just do an S&S 110 big bore kit, which is cylinders, pistons, new Easy Start cams, cam support plate, and an oil pump, and color a day, and you're done. Right? And it's a good power, good number. These 96s 103 from the factory, they suck balls. Like, they're low. The guys here will always. I don't even think we do a bet anymore. Before it was like, 57, 62 horsepower, I don't know, whatever. Oh no, that's 103. It's going to have at least 72. And Harley has to do it for EPA laws, for emission laws, but also to degrade you, sell you a product that they can upsell you later on stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4. So, yeah.
Good.
Transmission, 6-speed transmission. Not much you can do that. The only players in the game that changed that really is Baker Drivetrain, and they have a 7-speed transmission. there's nothing really tranny out there in the aftermarket world other than Baker drivetrain. This is a 6-speed. I have a 7-speed in my personal Road Glide. My personal Road Glide is also a 124 done right up in-house, as well as the Baker 7-speed. I can tell you in 25 years in business, we've only sold maybe 3 7-speeds. People just don't touch them or don't improve on them. Yeah, maybe they don't feel they need to.
Yeah,
I'm not too sure.
fair.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you. You mentioned 110 a couple of times. Is that the practical limit with these?
Yeah.
110.
Yeah, for sure. Because Bruce, when you, and you should do another episode on this one if you wanted to, bore and stroke. So when you have an engine case, and if you're interested in doing some of that, we can help you because we have a lot of engine cases just laying around and stuff like that. So bore and stroke. So bore is where the cylinders and the piston go through.
Yeah.
Stroke is the flywheel, the length of it from where the piston wrist pin is to where the crank pin is. As it goes down, it comes up that stroke. So when I talk about the 110 kit being what it is, without disassembling the engine, reassembling it, and opening up the bore for a bigger displacement of a cylinder, that's your limit to go from a 96 103 to a 110. Okay. Now there's a couple of companies. I think Revolution. I think I could be wrong. There's a couple that are like a couple more, like cc's more, but that's just could be the size of the skirt or something like that. Right. But the board dictates what you're going to do for drop in. If you're doing a pull out and a tear down, sky's the limit. You can change the flywheels, you put stripper flywheels on, you can do a bigger bore, which then you can get into like, you know, a 4 1/4, 4 1/2, 4 3/8, what have you, bore, which then would increase your displacement, which then would give you more cc's.
So in general terms, practicality, stroke is going to be typically less RPM, more torque. Shorter stroke is going to give you higher RPM and less torque.
Well,
typically.
Unless you're looking for negative comments on your channel, typically your torque and your speed is going to come from your cams. It's your duration of the lift. The stroke and bore is strictly displacement. How the opening of the fuel going in it and the exiting out is dictated by the cams. So if you want your power band to be sooner or later, your cam lift, the cam lobe will lift and allow air in and exit out at certain times. The flywheel and the piston have no bearing. It's just revolutions and displacement and speed. But torque is going to be where that lifts. And once again, a whiteboard would be good for this because you could do the lobes, you know, have a couple pictures of the lobes and show, you know, where the timing marks are, where this one opens here and this one opens here, and then that transpires to the top end of where the valve opening is.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So unlike the big block Chevy in my Suburban, where we stroked it, which really means the RPM limit is a little bit lower, as opposed to having a shorter stroke motor where you can spin it faster at high speed.
That's right, yeah. But when you talk about like a Chevy big block compared to a Harley, essentially is similar, but you have shorter connecting rods compared to what you have there. So when you do a 283 stroker or something like that, you've got a lot more stroke and a lot more throw, where here, you know, we're only talking maybe this much difference between wrist pin location and wrist pin location, like less than half an inch, you know, so yeah. But it does, but in the volume, increases the displacement of that.
Yes. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, so this is, we haven't named it, can't name them all.
Well, you keep calling it the root beer bike, so
I know.
Maybe that's the name.
Well, it's the color. So, you know, when you go into the showroom and there's 20 bikes out there and I go pull out the root beer bike, they're not pulling out the wrong one, right? So,
but the color is beautiful. It's
no, the whole bike is nice. I think it just flows. It's Yeah, let's see what your viewers say, you know.
And brakes, who did the brakes come from?
HHI.
HHI.
Yeah, HHI again. Harley, you know, Harley has their black standard ones and that. We went with the HHI 6-piston in the front, give it some good stocking power, and then a direct replacement chrome front, chrome rear, just to give it that style and performance that we require.
Cool. Right on.
Yeah, I think that's it, Bruce, on this one.
That's it for this one. Okay. We'll
smash that like button, subscribe, and
yes,
tune in for
like,
the next one.
subscribe, go to Instagram, follow, do all of that.
Oh, hey, you know
stuff.
what? Sorry, I forgot to tell you, Bruce, and I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I got off subject a little bit here. You threw me off a little bit. When I was telling you earlier that I try to keep the guys busy in the wintertime and stuff like that. So a couple of years ago, a network came to me because they heard that I do this, that I buy wreck bikes and I flip them.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to send you the pilot. It never went to air, so
Okay.
I can disclose the pilot and I can show you. It's only 1 minute long, so you can throw it in.
Sure.
I'm going to tell you and your viewers right now that I fucking hated it because I got scripted the whole time, and I tried to ask them to just let me be natural and do my thing, and they wanted me to emphasize and put explanation and be like the Tuttles, and I hated it. But it's interesting to see because actually we built a bike similar to this one.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, now that I think about the pilot, we did do something similar to this, but I'll send it to you, and if you want to insert it in your video, you can insert it in your video. Okay?
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
My name is Brent Robertson. I've built so many custom bikes and custom frames, I lost count at 300. Building the biggest, baddest, weirdest bikes that you can imagine. We build awesome bikes for the average Joe.
So I want long, sleek, suicide shift. I want a soft tail, but unrecognizable to anyone else out there. Custom seat, custom headlight.
Okay. I have a 2008 Heritage Softail here. The way I make my money is scrounging junkyards to find the wrecked, the wretched, and the rejected.
As it sits right now, kind of looks like rubbish.
They seem like they're beyond hope.
Yeah, this bike is a road wreck.
Road wrecks or road rockets. Being in business for 20 years, I've definitely seen his ups and downs. In the Calgary area, 3 shops closed last year. If you don't adapt, you're not gonna survive. Is I like to give someone a $60,000, $80,000 bike for $20,000 or $30,000. I would normally say have a seat on it, but there's nothing really to have a seat on. If you're good with 40, I can build what you want. I don't even know if these things are gonna run.
Got a deal.
All right, buddy. I'm gonna call you as soon as it's running.
I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
I'm a little nervous because the way you see it right now. So we shook a deal on 40 grand on a bike that potentially not even run.
So if I'm doing a quick flip on a bike from start to finish, 2 weeks. I've got the best team. People like Dom here.
Brent does a lot of stuff that I have no idea what it is.
Sometimes I go a little overboard.
Oh,
Rachel's a good asset to the company. She can connect with the female riders that come in here. I also have an eBay store. Bruce is cranky.
You need to want to make a buck everywhere you can.
So Nathan, my newest employee, he's sending me a resume 3 times a month for the last 6 years. Augie. The main stuff he does for me is polishing.
Aluminum, copper, stainless steel, brass, anything that needs shining. I have this other little side business I do. I hunt treasures that other people have discarded. Car parts, bike parts. You'd just be surprised what people throw out.
Chris, he's my longest employee. I don't know what he does during the day, but he gets it done.
Relax, keep your calm. That is the way to go, yeah.
He calls himself the Zen Harley Master, but I call him the Harley Disaster.
Steve's my go-to guy, and I can count on him all the time.
Oh, that's awesome. We don't have any spark.
There's a reason it's a wreck. Every bike has got its own surprise.
Travis, it's running.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Travis.
How's it going?
Good, buddy. You?
Not too bad.
You ready?
I'm ready.
I think you're going to be really happy, okay?
All right.
Okay. I did everything you wanted plus more.
Okay.
Okay?
Holy shit.
That's that wreck bike I showed you, man. I told you I could do it good. We got
Nice.
tons of time into this, but the flow is fantastic. And the shape of it is just great. The paint job in with the seat,
Look at that.
it all just ties together. And 40 grand, it's yours. What do you think?
You nailed it.
Thanks, buddy.
It's amazing. Let's go ride this.
You got it.
All right.
Pay me first.
Zoot.
Thank you. Yeah. And for the viewers, listeners, any questions, throw them in the comments. I check all of the comments, and I do make an effort to get back to everybody. I might not get to you within 24 hours, but I do get answers. And I'm sure that I can call my buddy Brent and get an answer that I may not have. So.
Oh, and if your question is how much, it's for sale. Call the shop.
And the number is?
Yeah, for sale or the shop. Shop number is
The shop number.
403-568-1075.
Right on. Thanks. We'll see you again. Okay.
Bye for now.
We'll get
No,
a
bye.
bye.
No, bye. Yeah, bye. All right, I'll get the next one. Awesome. Hey Bruce, guess what?
What?
So I went up front, Kyle called me up front there,
Yeah.
and this guy Daryl here just bought this bike.
No kidding.
Yeah. So
Good job. Congratulations, Daryl. Good.
So to all your viewers out there, the bike is no longer for sale unless Daryl puts it up for sale. But
Mine now.
Yeah, there you go. And yeah, isn't that funny?
Well, with a YouTube video, I hope you got more money for it too.
Well, yeah, let's Kyle didn't tell me that, but
No.
we'll go find out. Yeah. Thanks again.
Right
Daryl.
on.
No, thank you.
Yeah,
It's
all right.
always been kind of a dream build for me, so I saw it online and then I was like, oh, I gotta have that.
Perfect, good. Just because it's winter season here right now, as soon as the roads come, I'd like to put some miles on it before we deliver to you, because then we can stand behind our work. But no, I think you're gonna love it, man.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna
We
love
love
it
it,
too.
so
Yeah,
it's
it's beautiful. I even love the color too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Good
How's the
job.
color of root beer? And you'll have to watch the podcast. We just talked all about it.
yeah, for sure. I
Speed
will.
and color. Color with a K.
Yeah.